Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Monkey Wrench. I'm Kelly, the monkey with the wrench. Today we're doing a different video. We're not repairing machines, so for the first minute I have to talk about other things. So I want to let you know that 2 days ago we had Tropical Storm Debbie come through, which turned into Hurricane Debbie. Before it was through, it tore down my fence, which I made specifically the PVC to come apart and come down so it wouldn't damage the PVC or the fence material. So that was easy enough to put back up in place, good and strong, no problem. And the reason I want to show you this, or the reason I want to talk about this, as you can see, this is Florida swamp. Everything around here is still flooded. It hasn't rained much today, but we've had flooding all over the place. I cut the grass today to help it dry out quicker, and I noticed that underneath of my fire pit got a little bit of sand sinkage. I don't know if you can see that, but the sand has sunk down because I have a bucket of ammunition that is buried there, as well as across here. You can see that that's sunk down. We've had so much rain that the water has compacted the sand and allowed it to sink down, and that was still full of water this morning. Which brings me to today's video. It has been 2.5 months since I buried these buckets. They each have rifle ammo and handgun ammo in them. The water here is, the ground here is completely saturated. We still have water running off on the streets. It's all still going to the lowest point. So I'm gonna dig up this bucket. We're gonna open it up and we're gonna see if the contents have stayed dry through the last 2 months of solid rain and a hurricane. And I wanna show you this. So here we go. Please subscribe. You can see that the water's filling back in. The ground is so saturated. So I'm gonna finish digging this up. Holy hell. That thing was so full of water that the sand was acting like suction cup, holding that thing in the ground. So I'm gonna take a break and then we're gonna open it up. Now I went inside to catch my breath, and I want you to see that that hole is filled all the way back up with water, and it's still coming up. The shovel's down in there. So even in Florida, we get a lot of standing water, especially after a hurricane. Now I brought this over where I have a little bit of shade because it's hotter than hell out here, even though it's windy. And I'm going to take it apart for you guys to show you what got inside the bag itself. I've got this bag twisted a whole bunch of times into a pigtail. And remember, this was sitting in standing water. So I'm pretty sure there's going to be water inside of this bag. And there is. Now that also could be when I was trying to pull this up, I might have stretched the bag around the lip trying to grab it and allowed water inside. But we do have some water on top, not a whole lot. I really don't know if this stuff inside is going to be dry after sitting in a bucket-sized puddle of water. You're going to find out here with me if this was a good idea or not. Remember, this is just a 5-gallon bucket with a rubber seal. I'm gonna go wash my hands before I start pulling stuff out. There's a little bit of water right here, but I think that's dripping from me trying to open that lid just now. So let me get some of this shit off my hands. Now I don't remember if I made a video on burying this bucket. On how I did it. But what I've got here is ammunition. I'll take these inside and open them up and show you. There is a little bit of water inside. Yeah, water definitely got inside of the main bucket. I filled the bottom with kitty litter to hold the bags off the bottom and to help suck up any water that might have made its way in there. Now remember, this is after a hurricane, but there is definitely water, a little bit, not a whole lot, inside of that bucket. Let me take this stuff inside where it's better lighting and a little bit more air conditioning, and I'll show you what the inside of the bags look like. 2.5 months. It's Florida's rainy season, so we have been getting rain every single day, just like we always do in the summertime. And Hurricane Debbie just passed. So I have these in an outer bag. I used freezer bags because freezer bags have 2 seals on each bag. And these bags, if you buy them in a box of like 100, it's like $5. So it doesn't cost anything to buy these bags. But they have 2 seals on the top. And then I took the boxes themselves. These are bone dry. There's nothing inside of that outer bag. Not a damn thing. Not a drip, not a drop. And then I took the individuals in smaller freezer bags with a double seal again. And I bagged them twice. So each one of these boxes, and this is bone dry. Each one of these boxes was inside of 2 small Ziplocs, then a large Ziploc, inside of that bucket with a seal. Those buckets are about $6 at my local box store. I'm trying to open this thing up. These are in perfect condition. Now I know 2.5 months is not a long time, but 2.5 months in a place like Florida where it rains for a couple hours every single day, and Hurricane Debbie just passed by, and we literally got over 2 feet of rain in about 36 hours. We got 24 inches of rain. And as you could see, I pulled this thing out of a hole that was filled with water. So I had these inside of a bag, inside of a bag, inside of a larger bag, inside of a bucket with a rubber seal that I had just wrapped around the outside a garbage bag, spun it, ponytailed it, and zip tied it together. Is it as good as I want? When you're considering burying stuff that's this expensive, I buy inexpensive blazer ammo, which is about $15 a box. I have put 5.56 for my rifle, which is about $15 for 20 rounds. When you're burying stuff that costs as much as this and is as important as this, you don't want any water inside. So I put that in an outer bag. That's bone dry. These are 22 rifle rounds, 22 cal. I put it in another big bag and in another big bag. All of this is bone dry. And I think I wrapped it at like 150 or 200 rounds a piece in Ziplocs themselves. Everything here is bone dry. Now, will this do in a pinch? If the bucket cost me $7 and I spent all of, I don't remember, it was like $11 for 3 different size Ziploc bags, which I still have plenty of left. I didn't use that many out of the boxes. So $7 for the bucket, and let's just say $5 worth of Ziploc baggies. And like I said, these are 5.56. So I've got a baggie and a baggie, and I've got 4 boxes of 5.56, 20 rounds apiece. So that's 80 rounds in here. Bone dry, perfect. 15, 30, 45, 60. That right there, kids, is 120 bucks. There's 1,000 rounds of 22 cal in here, and there is, I'm not going to open everything, but I've got at least 4 of these. So 15, 30, 45, 60. That's 60, 120. That's 240, 360. I have about $500 worth of ammunition in here that's been buried underground. When the hurricane came, I didn't worry one bit. We had trees come down next door. We have had flooding for days, power outages, you name it, stuff got torn up. And this was only, for us, a tropical storm. It turned into a hurricane, a Category 1 hurricane up near the Panhandle. The only difference between what we went through and what we would have gone through had it been like a hurricane, a Cat 3 or a Cat 4, would have been more trees would have been brought down, more houses would have been destroyed. We got about as much flooding as we would have if it was a worse storm. So my thoughts on all this: I've got $600 worth of ammunition in one bucket that cost me all of $11 to bury. I wasn't worried if the house burnt down. I wasn't worried if a tree fell over. I wasn't worried about the rain. I wasn't worried about anything. And yet I have all this stuff here, and it's bone dry and it's perfect. Sat in a complete hole that was filled with water, because the ground is so soaked that the water won't run away yet. It's going to take a week or two without rain for the ground to drain all that water down. Will I bury these again the same way? $600. And it's not even the money. It's what if World War III happens? It's what if a EMP or a CME come from the sun? What if something comes along that causes me to have to defend myself, my friends, my loved ones, my neighbors? If my life depended on this stuff, do I trust it being in Ziploc bags in a 5-gallon bucket? And my first thought is yes, but no. Seeing that hole filled up with water, and it was just, I had submerged that bucket in that puddle of water that was taller than the bucket, and it sat there, and the water could easily find its way through the plastic bag and then through the rubber seal on the bucket, to the point, and there wasn't that much, you saw it when I dumped it out, but to the point where there was an inch of water on the bottom. I'm very glad that I put cat litter on the bottom to hold the stuff off the bottom about that far. Everything did its job. This thing lived through a hurricane. If I were to want to make a cache somewhere in public land, or somewhere where I don't have to think about it and worry about it for 2, 3, 4 years, I would not trust this long term. Although every inside bag was bone dry, I had several layers of bags keeping everything bone dry. I would think that sooner or later some moisture would find its way inside of something. So I'm going to rethink how or if I'm going to do this. Now for me, for about 6 months out of the year, we get 0 rain. So from like early December to June, there's no rain at all. So could I put this in the ground and say, around Thanksgiving, and leave it until 4th of July and not worry about it, absolutely, because there's no rain. After that, I think it would depend a lot on how much rain we get. I think I would trust this to be in the ground for a year. And because it's on my own property and I only have a couple of these buried, I'm not a whack job. There's only 2 of these buried, and they were experiments for you guys. I would say as long as I pull them up every year and double check to make sure that the inner bags are good, the outer bags are good. I may even do something to help with drainage a little bit more. I'm going to work with it, and I'm going to let you guys know what I come up with. Would I trust this in the short term? I can tell you right now, if something happened, if World War III pops off, if shit starts getting real, yeah, absolutely. These things are going to go right back in the ground. It takes all of 10 minutes to bury them. Put them in the ground, keep people from breaking in, lighting your house on fire, stealing your stuff. Yeah, I would trust it short term. Long term, maybe a year. And there are better ways to do it. Costs more, but that's what we're working on. So if you have any better ideas on how to do this, what I might have done wrong, let me know in the comments. Picture submerging a bucket in a pool and leaving it for days upon days upon days. The other cache that I have buried is actually inside of a 50 millimeter ammo can, and I'm going to be pulling that one up tomorrow and taking a look at that, and I may film that too to see if the thing stayed drier. But anyway, if you have any information, if you have any ideas on how to do this stuff on the cheap, let me know. I know it's crazy when you say there's $600 worth of stuff that you're burying and you did it for $11, and it is what it is. But that's what we do on this channel. We try and do things cheap and effective. Check out my second channel, Monkey Wrench Aquatics. Leave a like, hit the subscribe button. It's somewhere between my chin and my balls, and I'll see you on the next one.